When Western intelligence satellites first spotted these machines, analysts couldn't believe their eyes. Aircraft so massive they needed 6 engines, tanks with 5 turrets, and flying boats that, honestly, just seemed to defy physics itself. Today on Sci and Why, we're unveiling 10 Soviet engineering marvels so outrageous that the world thought they were propaganda hoaxes. These weren't just machines, they were statements of impossible ambition, each one pushing the boundaries of what engineering could achieve. From sky giants to land battleships, these Soviet creations didn't just challenge expectations, they shattered them completely. The Antonov An-225 Mriya, the sky giant. The Antonov An-225 Mriya was so massive it could carry 50 cars in its cargo hold, and it needed 6 engines just to get off the ground. The An-225 Mriya, meaning dream in Ukrainian, was the largest aircraft ever built. Designed in the 1980s by the Antonov Design Bureau, this colossal cargo plane measured 275 feet long with a wingspan of 290 feet, longer than a football field. Originally created to transport the Soviet Buran space shuttle, the An-225 featured 6 Progress D-18T turbofan engines, producing over 300,000 pounds of combined thrust. Its cargo hold stretched 142 feet long, 21 feet wide, and 14 feet high, spacious enough to transport entire locomotives or wind turbine blades. The aircraft's 32-wheel landing gear system distributed its maximum takeoff weight of 640 tons across multiple contact points. Only one An-225 was ever completed, making its maiden flight on December 21, 1988. The aircraft set 110 world records simultaneously during a single flight in 1989, including heaviest aircraft ever built and largest wingspan of any operational aircraft. After the Soviet space program ended, the Mriya found new life hauling oversized cargo for commercial clients, becoming a global sensation wherever it landed. Tragically, this unique aircraft was destroyed during the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine at Antonov Airport, though plans exist to rebuild it using parts from the second incomplete airframe. The T-35 heavy tank, the land battleship. The T-35 was the only 5-turreted tank ever mass-produced, requiring a crew of 10 soldiers to operate its multiple weapon systems simultaneously. The Soviet T-35 heavy tank represented the ultimate expression of interwar multi-turret design philosophy. Measuring 31 feet long and weighing up to 55 tons, this land battleship featured 5 turrets armed with 176mm cannon, 2 45mm guns, and up to 7 machine guns. The main turret housed the primary 76.2mm KT-28 cannon with 360-degree rotation, while 4 smaller turrets provided overlapping fields of fire. Its massive size required a crew of 10 soldiers, including a commander, driver, radio operator, and multiple gunners. The T-35's complex design created internal cramping, with fighting compartments separated from each other and some turrets blocking entrance hatches. Powered by a 500-horsepower Mikulin M17M engine, the tank achieved a maximum speed of only 19 miles per hour due to its enormous weight. Between 1934 and 1939, only 59 production models were built at the Kharkov locomotive plant. The T-35 served primarily as a propaganda tool, participating in Red Square parades to demonstrate Soviet military might. During World War II, most T-35 tanks were lost due to mechanical failures rather than enemy action, proving that complexity doesn't always equal effectiveness. Despite its impressive appearance, the T-35 demonstrated the limitations of multi-turret tank design, leading to simpler, more reliable designs. The Lund-class Ekranoplan, the flying warship. The Lund-class Ekranoplan was the only ground-effect vehicle ever deployed as an operational warship, flying just 13 feet above the water at 342 miles per hour. The Lund-class Ekranoplan represented a revolutionary fusion of aircraft and naval vessel technologies. Designed by Rostislav Alexeyev in 1975, this massive ground-effect vehicle measured 242 feet long with a 144-foot wingspan, weighing over 380 tons. The Lund operated using ground effect, a phenomenon where air compressed between wings and water surface creates a high-pressure cushion for lift. This allowed the craft to fly at altitudes of just 13 feet above water, while achieving speeds up to 342 miles per hour. Armed with 6 P-270 Mosket anti-ship missiles, The Loon served as a high-speed missile platform for the Soviet Caspian Flotilla from 1987 to the late 1990s. The International Maritime Organization classified ekranoplans as maritime ships, rather than aircraft, due to their unique operating characteristics. The Loon's military advantage lay in its ability to avoid underwater torpedoes like surface ships, while flying too low for radar detection like conventional aircraft. Only one Lun-class ekranoplan was completed before the Soviet Union's collapse ended the program. The surviving vehicle now sits preserved on the Caspian coast in Dagestan, Russia, serving as a monument to Soviet engineering ambition. Despite its innovative design, the Loon's operational limitations, including rough sea restrictions and saltwater corrosion, prevented widespread deployment. The Buran Space Shuttle, the Soviet space plane. The Buran Space Shuttle completed a fully automated orbital flight and landing in 1988, something NASA's space shuttle was never designed to do. The Buran spacecraft represented the Soviet Union's ambitious response to America's space shuttle program. Development began in 1974 with over 1,000 companies across the Soviet Union contributing to construction. Unlike NASA's shuttle, Buran launched aboard the expendable Energia rocket, with main engines remaining on the booster rather than the orbiter. The spacecraft measured similar to the American shuttle, but featured crucial differences in design and capability. Buran's most remarkable achievement was its fully automated flight capability. The spacecraft could launch, orbit, and land without human intervention. On November 15, 1988, Buran completed its only spaceflight, orbiting Earth twice in 208 minutes before executing a perfect automated landing. The mission demonstrated advanced Soviet computer technology and flight control systems decades ahead of their time. Buran was designed to carry up to 6 crew members and 30 tons of cargo to orbit, with the ability to return 20 tons to Earth. The spacecraft featured different thermal protection materials and could perform missions lasting up to 3 weeks. Despite its technological success, the Buran program was cancelled in 1993 due to the Soviet Union's collapse and funding shortages. The only space-flown Buran was destroyed in 2002 when its storage hangar collapsed at Baikonur Cosmodrome. The program's legacy lives on in modern Russian space technology and serves as proof of Soviet engineering excellence. The VDNKH robot, the Soviet android dream. Soviet engineers created humanoid robots in the 1950s that could perform 18 different commands, see, hear, and interact with amazed exhibition audiences. The VDNKH robot represented the Soviet Union's early venture into humanoid robotics and technological showmanship. Developed by young technicians under Boris Vasilenko's guidance, these robots were designed to demonstrate Soviet technological capabilities at the famous VDNKH exhibition center in Moscow. The most advanced model stood 1.8 meters tall and could execute 18 different commands via radio control, including movement, gesture recognition, and basic interaction. These robots featured primitive vision and hearing capabilities using sensors to detect light and sound for responsive behavior. The VDNKH robots performed every 2 hours on a special stage built in front of the Electrification Pavilion, drawing crowds of amazed visitors. Beyond their mechanical functions, these robots symbolized Soviet optimism about the future, representing a vision where automation would support human progress. The project combined engineering innovation with theatrical presentation, capturing public imagination about human-machine collaboration. Soviet robotics development extended beyond exhibitions. By 1980, the USSR operated over 6,000 industrial robots, representing more than 20% of the world's total. The country pioneered planetary rovers, developing the first lunar rovers and Mars exploration vehicles. While primitive by modern standards, the VDNKH robots played a significant role in robotics history, demonstrating early concepts of autonomous behavior and human-robot interaction that would influence future development. The MAZ-7907, the 24-wheeled nuclear transporter. The MAZ 7907 remains the only vehicle ever built with 24-driven wheels, designed to transport 100-ton nuclear missiles across any terrain. The MAZ 7907 represented the ultimate expression of Soviet heavy transport engineering. Developed by the Minsk automobile plant in 1985, this colossal vehicle was designed specifically to transport the RT-23 Molodets intercontinental ballistic missile. Measuring 92 feet long, 13.5 feet wide, and 14.4 feet high, the MAZ 7907 featured an unprecedented 24-wheel drive system with 12 axles. Two 1,250 horsepower, Klimov GTD 1,250 TFM gas turbine engines, borrowed from T-80 tanks, powered electric generators that drove individual 30-kilowatt motors at each wheel. This turbine electric transmission system provided exceptional traction and maneuverability across difficult terrain. The vehicle's articulated frame design allowed it to navigate rough roads while maintaining stability for its 150-ton payload capacity. 8 of the 12 axles were steerable, enabling the 92-foot vehicle to achieve a turning radius of just 88 feet. The MAZ 7907's independent hydropneumatic suspension provided 6.6 feet of ground clearance and exceptional off-road capability. Only 2 prototypes were ever built before the Cold War's end eliminated the need for road-mobile nuclear missiles. One MAZ 7907 was famously used in 1996 to transport an 88-ton ship 250 kilometers across Belarus, demonstrating its incredible hauling capacity. The surviving vehicle now resides in a museum representing the pinnacle of Soviet heavy transport technology and the lengths engineers would go to move the unmovable. The Caspian Sea Monster, the original Ekranoplan. The KM, also known as the Caspian Sea Monster, was so massive and mysterious that, honestly, American spy satellites just couldn't figure out if it was a plane, a ship, or maybe even some kind of secret weapon. The KM, or Korabl Maket Ekranoplan, which CIA analysts nicknamed the Caspian Sea Monster, was actually the world's first operational ground effect vehicle. Developed by the Central Hydrofoil Design Bureau back in the 1960s, this experimental craft measured an incredible 348 feet long, with a wingspan of 123 feet, making it the largest aircraft in the world from 1966 all the way to 1988. The KM used ground effect, flying within just 13 feet of the water's surface, where compressed air would create a sort of lifting cushion underneath. 8 massive turbofan engines gave it the thrust to reach speeds up to 300 miles per hour, skimming right across the Caspian Sea. Now, when American satellites first spotted the KM in 1966, intelligence analysts were, well, absolutely baffled by its purpose and appearance. The craft looked like nothing they had ever seen before, way too large to be a conventional aircraft and just too fast to be any kind of ship. The CIA's confusion actually led to some pretty elaborate surveillance attempts, including, believe it or not, plans to use robotic birds for closer reconnaissance. The KM began its operations in 1966, and underwent continuous testing by the Soviet Navy until 1980. This massive craft really demonstrated the viability of ground effect flight for military applications, and it ended up inspiring later Ekranoplan designs. Its career came to an end in 1980, when pilot error caused the KM to crash into the Caspian Sea, though thankfully, no lives were lost. The KM's legacy still lives on in modern ground effect vehicle development, proving that Soviet engineers were honestly decades ahead of their time in exploring these unconventional flight technologies. The Tsar tank, the tricycle fortress. The Tsar tank featured 2 massive 27-foot diameter wheels in front and looked more like a giant tricycle than a military vehicle. The Tsar tank represented one of the most bizarre armored vehicle designs in military history. Officially designated as the Netopir, or Bat, this enormous machine was built in 1915 during World War I as an experimental breakthrough weapon. The tank's most distinctive feature was its massive front wheels, each measuring 27 feet in diameter, with a smaller 5-foot wheel at the rear creating a tricycle configuration. This unusual design was intended to cross trenches and obstacles that would stop conventional vehicles. The Tsar tank measured over 60 feet long and stood nearly 30 feet tall, making it visible from great distances. 240 horsepower engines powered the front wheels, while the rear wheel provided steering control. The vehicle's crew compartment was positioned between the giant wheels, armed with multiple machine guns and cannons. Despite its imposing appearance, the Tsar tank proved to be a mechanical disaster during testing. The massive front wheels created enormous ground pressure, causing the vehicle to become stuck in soft terrain. The rear wheel was too small to provide adequate support, causing the tank to tip backward when climbing obstacles. After several failed tests, the project was abandoned in 1915, and the prototype was left to rust in the Russian countryside. The Tsar tank's failure demonstrated that bigger isn't always better in military engineering, though its audacious design continues to fascinate military historians and engineers today. The Mil V-12 Homer, the flying praying mantis. The Mil V-12 helicopter was so enormous it needed 6 crew members, including an electrician, just to keep it airborne, and it still holds the world helicopter lifting record. The Mil V-12, nicknamed Homer, represented the ultimate expression of Soviet helicopter engineering. Unveiled by the Mil Moscow helicopter plant in 1968, this colossal rotorcraft measured 67 meters from rotor tip to rotor tip, making it the largest helicopter ever built. The aircraft's distinctive appearance, resembling a praying mantis in permanent threat display, reflected its ominous purpose, transporting intercontinental nuclear missiles to launch sites. 4 massive turboshaft engines powered the V-12's twin rotor systems, requiring a crew of 6 including an electrician to manage the complex electrical systems. In 1969, a brave test crew achieved an unbreakable world record by lifting a 40,000-kilogram payload to an altitude of 2.25 kilometers. The helicopter's side-by-side rotor configuration eliminated the need for a tail rotor while providing exceptional lifting capacity. Despite its impressive capabilities, the Mil V-12 became obsolete before entering service due to the development of mobile missile launchers. The strategic shift toward road-mobile nuclear missiles eliminated the need for helicopter transport, making the V-12 redundant. Only 2 prototypes were ever built before the program ended in 1974. One surviving aircraft is preserved at the Central Air Force Museum near Moscow, where visitors can witness this engineering marvel firsthand. The Mil V-12's legacy demonstrates Soviet willingness to push engineering boundaries regardless of practical limitations, creating machines that existed at the very edge of possibility. The screw-propelled vehicle, the all-terrain spiral. Soviet engineers created vehicles that moved using giant rotating screws instead of wheels, capable of traveling through snow, swamps, and even water. The Soviet screw-propelled vehicle represented one of the most unusual transportation solutions ever devised. These vehicles, known as Archimedes screw vehicles, used large helical screws instead of conventional wheels or tracks for propulsion. The rotating screws could grip virtually any surface: snow, mud, sand, or even water, providing unmatched all-terrain capability. Various models were developed throughout the Soviet era, from small personnel carriers to massive cargo transporters. The screw's helical design allowed the vehicles to literally swim through soft terrain that would trap wheeled or tracked vehicles. Some variants featured multiple screws arranged in parallel, providing redundancy and improved stability. The vehicles could traverse frozen rivers, deep snow, marshlands, and even open water with equal ease. Soviet engineers experimented with different screw configurations, including variable pitch screws that could adjust their grip based on terrain conditions. These vehicles found applications in Arctic exploration, military logistics, and remote area transportation, where conventional vehicles failed. The screw-propelled design proved particularly valuable in Siberian conditions, where extreme cold and varied terrain challenged traditional transportation methods. While never mass-produced, these vehicles demonstrated Soviet engineering creativity in solving unique transportation challenges. Modern versions of screw-propelled vehicles continue to be used in specialized applications, proving that sometimes the most unusual solutions are the most effective for extreme conditions. From flying battleships that skimmed the seas to tanks with 5 turrets and helicopters that could lift entire buildings, these Soviet machines pushed engineering to its absolute limits. Each creation represented bold thinking that refused to accept impossible as an answer. If you're amazed by these incredible engineering marvels and want to explore more mind-bending Soviet innovations, smash that like button, share your favorite machine in the comments, and subscribe to Sci and Y for more journeys into the world's most extraordinary technologies. Thanks for watching. Keep dreaming big. The world's telescopes are locked on the heavens as a cosmic mystery returns. Oumuamua, the bizarre interstellar object that stunned scientists in 2017, is back in the headlines, and this time, it's making waves with signals and behavior no one can explain. Is it just a strange rock, or could it be something far more extraordinary? Today on Sci and Y, we're diving deep into the latest discoveries, wild theories, and the global debate over whether Oumuamua is a messenger from beyond or a puzzle that will keep us guessing for generations. The first encounter, a visitor like no other. In October 2017, astronomers spotted something racing through our solar system so fast and so strangely shaped, it defied every expectation about what space rocks should look like. Oumuamua was the first confirmed interstellar object to visit our solar system, discovered by the Pan-STARRS 1 telescope in Hawaii. Unlike any asteroid or comet ever observed, it was extraordinarily elongated, at least 10 times longer than it was wide, and tumbled end over end as it sped past the sun at 196,000 miles per hour. Its reddish surface and cigar-like shape immediately set it apart from typical space debris. The object's hyperbolic trajectory proved it wasn't gravitationally bound to our solar system, making it a true visitor from another star system. Scientists had only weeks to study it before it disappeared into the cosmic void, but what they discovered challenged fundamental assumptions about interstellar objects. No comet tail, no visible outgassing, and most puzzling of all, an unexplained acceleration that seemed to defy the laws of physics as we understand them. The shape that launched 1,000 theories. How could a natural object be shaped like a cosmic cigar, spinning through space with dimensions so extreme that some scientists wondered if it was hollow inside? Oumuamua's extraordinary shape became its most defining and controversial characteristic. Observations revealed it measured approximately 1,300 feet long, but only 130 feet wide, a 10-to-1 ratio unprecedented in known asteroids or comets. As it rotated every 7.3 hours, its brightness varied dramatically, suggesting either an extremely elongated shape or a flat, pancake-like structure. Some researchers proposed it was a fragment from a shattered planet blasted apart by a stellar collision billions of years ago. Others suggested it might be a thin, sail-like object, perhaps even thinner than paper, which could explain its unusual acceleration through solar radiation pressure. The object's density calculations puzzled scientists further, leading to speculation about internal voids or an entirely different composition than expected. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb controversially suggested the shape was consistent with artificial construction, sparking heated debates about whether natural processes could create such an extreme geometry. The mystery deepened when computer models struggled to explain how such a shape could survive the violent journey between star systems. The acceleration mystery, natural or artificial? As Oumuamua sped away from the sun, it accelerated in ways that violated every known law of celestial mechanics, leaving scientists scrambling for explanations. The most perplexing aspect of Oumuamua's behavior was its non-gravitational acceleration. It sped up as it moved away from the sun, despite showing no visible signs of comet-like outgassing. Traditional comets accelerate due to jets of vaporizing ice and dust, but Oumuamua displayed no tail, no coma, and no detectable gas emissions. This acceleration was small but measurable, requiring some unknown force to explain the deviation from its predicted orbit. Scientists proposed various theories: invisible hydrogen outgassing, solar radiation pressure on an ultra-thin object, or even magnetic interactions with the solar wind. However, each explanation faced significant challenges. The hydrogen theory required the object to be made of pure hydrogen ice, which seemed unlikely given its surface properties. The solar sail hypothesis demanded an impossibly thin structure that somehow survived interstellar travel. Some researchers suggested the acceleration might result from internal heat causing asymmetric outgassing, but no evidence supported this theory. The mystery remains unsolved, with each proposed explanation raising new questions about Oumuamua's true nature and origin. The signal hunt. Are we receiving messages? When radio telescopes around the world turned toward Oumuamua, the search for artificial signals became, well, a global obsession that captured headlines and sparked wild speculation. The Breakthrough Listen project, funded by billionaire Yuri Milner, immediately targeted Oumuamua with powerful radio telescopes, scanning for any signs of artificial transmissions. Using the Green Bank telescope in West Virginia, scientists monitored the object across multiple frequency bands, searching for structured signals that might indicate an intelligent origin. While no confirmed artificial signals were detected, the very act of searching fueled public imagination, and honestly, a lot of conspiracy theories. Social media exploded with claims of hidden NASA data, secret communications, and government cover-ups. Podcasters and YouTubers, including Joe Rogan, amplified speculation about possible alien messages, often mixing legitimate scientific uncertainty with, some pretty unfounded claims. the scientific community remained cautious, emphasizing that the absence of detected signals didn't rule out artificial origin. Any advanced civilization might use communication methods beyond our current detection capabilities. Some researchers suggested that if Oumuamua was indeed a probe, it might be in listening mode rather than actively transmitting. The signal hunt really highlighted humanity's deep desire to make contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, even as it demonstrated the challenges of distinguishing between natural phenomena and potential alien technology. The Loeb hypothesis: alien technology in our backyard. When Harvard's top astronomer publicly declared that Oumuamua might be an alien spacecraft, the scientific community erupted in controversy that honestly continues to this day. Dr. Avi Loeb, chair of Harvard's astronomy department, made headlines worldwide by suggesting Oumuamua could be a piece of extraterrestrial technology, specifically a light sail or probe sent by an alien civilization. In his book, Extraterrestrial, Loeb argued that the object's unusual properties, its extreme shape, lack of outgassing, and mysterious acceleration, were more consistent with artificial construction than natural formation. He proposed that Oumuamua might be a defunct piece of alien technology, kind of like space junk from an advanced civilization drifting through the galaxy for millions of years. Loeb's hypothesis sparked fierce debate among astronomers, with many colleagues criticizing his conclusions as premature and sensationalized. Critics argued that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that natural explanations, however unlikely, should be exhausted before invoking alien technology. Loeb countered that the scientific community's reluctance to consider extraterrestrial possibilities reflected a conservative bias that could blind researchers to genuine discoveries. His advocacy for the alien hypothesis brought unprecedented media attention to Oumuamua, transforming a scientific puzzle into a cultural phenomenon that still influences public perception of the search for extraterrestrial life. The return phenomenon: new visitors, new questions. In 2019, astronomers discovered 2I/Borisov, the second confirmed interstellar visitor, proving that Oumuamua wasn't a one-time cosmic accident but part of a larger phenomenon. The discovery of Comet 2I/Borisov by amateur astronomer Gennady Borisov demonstrated that interstellar objects regularly visit our solar system, though most likely go undetected. Unlike Oumuamua, Borisov behaved like a typical comet, displaying a clear tail and predictable outgassing patterns. This normal behavior made Oumuamua's anomalies even more striking by comparison. Advanced sky surveys like the Catalina Sky Survey and Linear are now detecting more interstellar candidates, suggesting these cosmic visitors arrive more frequently than previously thought. The upcoming Vera C. Rubin Observatory promises to revolutionize interstellar object detection, potentially finding dozens of Oumuamua-like objects each year. Each new discovery provides opportunities to test theories about interstellar object formation, composition, and behavior. Scientists are developing rapid response protocols to maximize observation time for future visitors, including potential space missions to intercept and study these objects up close. The European Space Agency has proposed the Comet Interceptor mission, which could be redirected to study an interstellar visitor if one arrives at the right time. As detection capabilities improve, researchers expect to build a comprehensive catalog of interstellar objects, potentially revealing whether Oumuamua represents a unique anomaly or part of a diverse population of cosmic wanderers. The Joe Rogan Effect: Pop Culture Meets Cosmic Mystery. When Joe Rogan's podcast featured Oumuamua discussions, millions of listeners were introduced to the possibility that aliens might have already visited our solar system. Joe Rogan's influential podcast platform amplified Oumuamua's story far beyond academic circles, bringing the interstellar mystery to mainstream audiences worldwide. Rogan's conversations with guests like Avi Loeb and other researchers transformed complex astrophysics into accessible discussions about alien visitation and government transparency. The podcast's massive reach, over 11 million listeners per episode, meant that Oumuamua became a household name, sparking dinner table debates and social media discussions about extraterrestrial life. Rogan's approach, mixing scientific curiosity with healthy skepticism about official narratives, really resonated with audiences hungry for alternative perspectives on space exploration. The Joe Rogan effect demonstrated how modern media can rapidly transform scientific discoveries into cultural phenomena, sometimes even faster than peer review processes can validate or debunk emerging theories. While some scientists worried about misinformation spreading through popular media, others appreciated the increased public interest in astronomy and space science. This phenomenon highlighted the complex relationship between scientific research, media coverage, and public understanding of cosmic mysteries. Oumuamua's story became intertwined with broader discussions about UFO disclosure, government secrecy, and humanity's place in the universe, showing how a single astronomical discovery can capture the collective imagination and influence cultural conversations about our cosmic future. The message hypothesis. What if we're being contacted? If Oumuamua really is an alien probe, what message might it be trying to deliver, and would humanity even recognize an extraterrestrial communication if we received one? The possibility that Oumuamua represents an intentional message from another civilization raises some pretty profound questions about interstellar communication and, honestly, about human readiness for contact. If the object is indeed artificial, its mere presence in our solar system could be the message itself, a demonstration that interstellar travel is possible and, well, that we are not alone. Some researchers speculate that an advanced civilization might use physical objects as information carriers, encoding data in their structure, composition, or behavior patterns. The object's unusual trajectory, taking it close to the Sun and through the inner solar system, might be designed to ensure detection by any technologically capable species. Scientists have proposed that future interstellar visitors should be examined for microscopic structures, isotopic signatures, or other indicators of artificial construction. The challenge lies in recognizing alien technology that might operate on principles entirely foreign to human understanding. If Oumuamua is a probe, it might be conducting its own observations, gathering data about our solar system, planet, and civilization. The object's tumbling motion could be intentional, allowing sensors to scan in all directions as it travels. Some theorists suggest that the probe might be waiting for a specific signal or technological milestone before activating communication protocols, making humanity's response crucial for future contact. The scientific response. New tools, new discoveries. Armed with next-generation telescopes and AI-powered detection systems, astronomers are preparing for the next Oumuamua, and this time, they'll be ready to unlock its secrets. The Oumuamua encounter really revolutionized how scientists approach interstellar object detection and study. The upcoming Vera C. Rubin Observatory will scan the entire visible sky every few nights, potentially detecting interstellar objects weeks or even months before they reach their closest approach to the Sun. This early warning system will provide unprecedented opportunities for detailed study, including spectroscopic analysis, radar observations, and even potential space missions. NASA and ESA are developing rapid response protocols for interstellar visitors, including pre-positioned spacecraft that could be quickly redirected to intercept interesting objects. Advanced AI algorithms are being trained to identify unusual orbital characteristics that might indicate artificial origin, automatically flagging objects for priority observation. The James Webb Space Telescope's infrared capabilities could reveal surface composition and thermal properties invisible to optical telescopes. Scientists are also developing new theoretical frameworks for understanding how natural interstellar objects form and evolve, providing better baselines for identifying truly anomalous visitors. International collaboration networks are being established to coordinate global observations and share data in real time. The next interstellar visitor will face the most comprehensive scientific scrutiny in history, potentially finally answering whether objects like Oumuamua represent natural phenomena or something far more extraordinary. The legacy of Oumuamua, a new era of cosmic awareness. Whether Oumuamua was a space rock or an alien probe, its brief visit fundamentally changed how humanity views our place in the galaxy and our readiness for contact. Oumuamua's legacy extends far beyond its physical properties or mysterious behavior. It represents a paradigm shift in human consciousness about our cosmic environment. The object's visit demonstrated that our solar system is not isolated, but part of a dynamic galactic ecosystem where matter, and potentially information, flows between star systems. It forced scientists to confront the limitations of current theories about planetary formation, interstellar travel, and the prevalence of life in the universe. The controversy surrounding its interpretation highlighted the tension between scientific conservatism and the need for open-minded inquiry when confronting unprecedented phenomena. Public fascination with Oumuamua revealed humanity's deep yearning for cosmic connection and our readiness to consider the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence. The object's story became a catalyst for increased funding in SETI research, interstellar object detection, and astrobiology programs worldwide. Educational institutions began incorporating interstellar visitor scenarios into their curricula, preparing the next generation of scientists for a universe that might be far more active and populated than previously imagined. As we await the next interstellar visitor, Oumuamua's mystery continues to inspire scientific research, artistic expression, and philosophical reflection about humanity's cosmic future and our potential place in a galaxy teeming with intelligence. Oumuamua's journey through our solar system has left us with more mysteries than solutions. But that's what makes science so thrilling. Whether it's a cosmic rock, an alien probe, or something we haven't even imagined, its story challenges us to stay curious and keep exploring. If you're captivated by the unknown and want to join the search for answers, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Sci and Why for more cosmic mysteries and mind-bending discoveries. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next interstellar visitor. For over 30 years, the Soviet Union conducted the most ambitious planetary exploration program in history, sending over 20 missions to Venus between 1961 and 1984. While the world focused on the moon race, Soviet scientists were quietly conquering Earth's hellish twin planet. What they discovered in the crushing depths of Venus's atmosphere wasn't just rocks and gas, it was something that challenged everything we thought we knew about life in the universe. Today, we're uncovering the shocking truth about what Soviet probes really found on Venus. The Venus obsession. The Soviet space program had a problem. America was winning the moon race and they needed a different target to claim cosmic superiority. Venus became their obsession, a world so similar to Earth in size that scientists called it our sister planet. But this sister had a dark secret. With surface temperatures reaching 464 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead, and atmospheric pressure 90 times greater than Earth, Venus was literally hell in space. The first Soviet attempt came in February 1961 with Venera 1, which lost contact after 7 days and 6 million kilometers from Earth. But failure only fueled their determination. Chief designer Sergei Korolev and his team at OKB-1 weren't deterred by the hellish conditions. They saw Venus as the ultimate engineering challenge. If they could build machines that survived Venus, they could build machines that survived anything. Between 1961 and 1970, they launched 8 Venera missions, each one teaching them something new about the hostile world that awaited. The Soviets were preparing for war against an entire planet, and they intended to win. Breaking through hell. The breakthrough came on December 15, 1970, when Venera 7 became the first human-made object to successfully transmit data from Venus's surface. The probe survived exactly 23 minutes in conditions that would instantly vaporize any human. But those precious minutes of data transmission made history. Humanity had finally touched another planet, and lived to tell about it. Venera 7 revealed that Venus's surface pressure was crushing at 90 Earth atmospheres, equivalent to being 900 meters underwater in Earth's oceans. The temperature readings were beyond anything scientists had predicted, a constant 475 degrees Celsius that never varied between day and night. This wasn't just hot. This was a planet-wide furnace powered by an extreme greenhouse effect. The Soviet engineers, led by Mikhail Lavochkin at the Lavochkin Design Bureau, had accomplished the impossible. They had built a machine that could survive conditions more extreme than anything found on Earth. Venera 7's success proved that Soviet engineering could conquer the most hostile environment in the solar system, setting the stage for even more ambitious missions that would change our understanding of Venus forever. The first photographs from hell. October 22, 1975 marked one of the greatest achievements in space exploration history, when Venera 9 transmitted the first photograph ever taken from the surface of another planet. The black and white image showed a landscape of flat stones and rocks scattered across Venus's hellish terrain, proving that the surface wasn't covered in global oceans as some scientists had theorized. Just 3 days later, Venera 10 landed 2,200 kilometers away and sent back a second image showing similar rocky terrain. These weren't just photographs. They were proof that Soviet technology could function in conditions that would destroy any Earth-based equipment in seconds. The landers were built like armored tanks, with thick titanium pressure vessels and advanced cooling systems designed by Vyacheslav Kovtunenko and his engineering team. Each probe carried panoramic cameras, drill systems, and atmospheric analyzers that functioned for over 2 hours on the surface. The images revealed Venus as a dim, orange-tinted world where rocks showed signs of chemical weathering from the planet's corrosive atmosphere. But buried in the technical data from these missions was something far more intriguing than rocks and temperature readings. Anomalies that would spark decades of scientific debate about what really existed in Venus's crushing depths. The soil analysis mystery. When Venera 13 landed on March 1, 1982, it carried the most sophisticated scientific equipment ever sent to Venus's surface. The probe's drill system extracted soil samples and performed detailed chemical analysis using an X-ray fluorescence spectrometer designed by Soviet scientists at the Institute of Space Research. What they found defied all expectations. Venus's soil contained unusual organic compounds that shouldn't have existed in such extreme conditions. The soil samples showed higher than expected carbon content and chemical signatures that resembled biological processes found on Earth. Even more mysterious, the drilling revealed layered sedimentary structures that suggested Venus might have had liquid water on its surface in the distant past. Venera 13 also detected atmospheric anomalies at ground level, chemical gradients that seemed to indicate active processes rather than static environmental conditions. The probe transmitted data for 127 minutes before succumbing to the extreme heat, but those minutes contained enough information to revolutionize our understanding of Venus. Soviet scientists, led by Roald Sagdiv at the Institute of Space Research, knew they had discovered something extraordinary, but they couldn't yet prove what it was. The data suggested Venus might not be as lifeless as everyone assumed. The balloon missions. The most ambitious phase of Soviet Venus exploration began in 1985 with the Vega program, twin missions that would drop atmospheric balloons into Venus's middle atmosphere, where conditions were surprisingly Earth-like. Vega 1 and Vega 2 each released balloon gondolas at 54 kilometers altitude, where temperatures were a moderate 0 to 60 degrees Celsius, and pressure was similar to Earth's surface. These balloons, designed by Jacques Blément in collaboration with Soviet engineers, floated for 46 hours while transmitting continuous atmospheric data. The balloons discovered something remarkable. Venus's middle atmosphere contained water vapor, sulfuric acid clouds, and most intriguingly, phosphine gas at concentrations that couldn't be explained by known geological processes. The atmospheric chemistry data showed complex organic reactions occurring in the cloud layers, with chemical cycles that resembled biological processes on Earth. Even more mysterious, the balloons detected regular atmospheric patterns and chemical oscillations that suggested some form of organized activity. French atmospheric scientist Jacques Blément noted that the chemical signatures were unlike anything seen in purely geological planetary atmospheres. The Soviet data indicated that Venus's atmosphere might harbor active chemical processes that could potentially support aerial microorganisms, life floating in the planet's temperate cloud layers far above the hellish surface. The phosphine discovery. Long before modern astronomers detected phosphine in Venus's atmosphere, Soviet atmospheric data from the 1980s had already identified this mysterious gas in concentrations that puzzled scientists. Phosphine is a molecule that on Earth is only produced by biological processes or industrial manufacturing. It breaks down rapidly in oxygen-rich environments, so its presence indicates active production. The Vega balloon data showed phosphine concentrations of 10 to 20 parts per billion in Venus's cloud layers, levels that couldn't be explained by volcanic activity or atmospheric chemistry alone. Soviet atmospheric chemist Mikhail Zolotov noted that the phosphine readings were accompanied by other unusual chemical signatures, including unexpected hydrogen sulfide patterns and organic compound distributions that defied standard atmospheric models. The data suggested that something in Venus's clouds was actively producing phosphine at rates faster than atmospheric breakdown could destroy it. Even more intriguing, the phosphine concentrations showed temporal variations. They weren't constant, but fluctuated in patterns that resembled biological cycles. This discovery remained buried in Soviet scientific literature for decades, largely overlooked by Western scientists who were focused on Mars exploration. but the implications were staggering. If the Soviet data was accurate, Venus's atmosphere might harbor active biological processes that had been generating phosphine for millions of years. The surface geology anomalies. The final Soviet Venus missions in the 1980s revealed surface features that really challenged our conventional understanding of planetary geology. Venera 15 and Venera 16 used radar mapping to penetrate Venus's thick atmosphere and image the surface from orbit, revealing these massive geological structures that, honestly, just defied explanation. The radar data showed circular formations up to hundreds of kilometers wide that looked like impact craters, but they had internal structures that were way too organized to be random. Soviet planetary geologist Alexander Vasilevsky identified over 900 impact craters across Venus's surface, but a lot of those showed some really strange features, central peaks, radial patterns, and rim modifications that actually suggested active geological processes. Even more puzzling were these tessellated terrain formations, complex polygonal patterns that covered millions of square kilometers and seemed to be actively maintained, rather than just ancient geological features. The Venera orbiters also detected atmospheric disturbances above certain surface features, suggesting there was active outgassing from specific geological formations. Some Soviet scientists even theorized that Venus might have subsurface water reservoirs that occasionally reached the surface through volcanic activity, creating temporary habitable zones in an otherwise super hostile environment. These geological anomalies raise some big questions about whether Venus's interior might harbor conditions suitable for extremophile organisms, kind of like those found in Earth's deep crustal environments. The modern reanalysis. In 2020, international scientists took another look at decades-old Soviet atmospheric data and made a pretty shocking discovery. The phosphine signatures detected by Vega balloons weren't measurement errors, but actual atmospheric phenomena. Dr. Jane Greaves at Cardiff University used the James Clerk Maxwell telescope to detect phosphine in Venus's atmosphere, confirming what Soviet data had suggested 35 years earlier. The reanalysis of Venera atmospheric measurements revealed even more biosignatures that had been overlooked. Ammonia concentrations, unusual water vapor distributions, and organic molecule patterns that really resembled biological processes. Modern atmospheric models have confirmed that Venus's cloud layers, at 50 to 60 kilometers altitude, actually have Earth-like temperature and pressure conditions where terrestrial microorganisms could potentially survive. NASA's Carl Sagan had theorized about aerial life on Venus way back in 1967, but it was Soviet atmospheric data that provided the first real evidence that such life might actually exist. The phosphine discovery sparked renewed interest in Venus exploration, with multiple space agencies planning new missions to search for life in the planet's clouds. Recent computer modeling of Soviet atmospheric data suggests that Venus's middle atmosphere contains all the chemical elements necessary for life: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur, in concentrations that could support aerial ecosystems. The Soviet missions may have discovered the first evidence of extraterrestrial life without even realizing it. The modern reanalysis. The Soviet legacy at Venus continues to shape modern astrobiology research and future mission planning. NASA's Da Vinci Plus and ESA's Envision missions scheduled for the 2030s are going to specifically target the atmospheric layers where Soviet probes detected those unusual chemical signatures. These new missions will carry advanced spectrometers and atmospheric analyzers designed to definitively determine whether phosphine and other biosignature gases actually indicate active biological processes in Venus's clouds. Private companies like Rocket Lab are also developing atmospheric probe missions specifically to search for aerial microorganisms in Venus's temperate cloud layers. The discovery of extremophile organisms in Earth's most hostile environments, from deep ocean thermal vents to highly acidic volcanic lakes, has shown us that life can exist in conditions we once thought were impossible. Venus's clouds contain sulfuric acid, but Earth organisms like acidithiobacillus bacteria thrive in similar acidic environments. Modern astrobiologists now theorize that Venus's ancient oceans may have supported life for billions of years before the runaway greenhouse effect drove organisms into the atmosphere. If confirmed, aerial life on Venus would represent the first discovery of extraterrestrial biology and would totally validate 30 years of Soviet atmospheric research. The implications would be profound. proving that life can adapt to the most extreme planetary conditions and could potentially exist throughout the galaxy in ways we never even imagined possible. So there you have it. The Soviet Union may have discovered the first evidence of extraterrestrial life decades before anyone realized it. Which discovery shocked you the most about Venus exploration? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed uncovering this hidden scientific history, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who loves real space discoveries, and don't forget to subscribe to Sci and Y for more mind-blowing revelations about our incredible universe. Until next time, keep questioning what we think we know about life in space.